Good afternoon, North Penn. You were probably here because you saw the advertisement for community conversations at the North Penn High School renovation with myself this afternoon. Last time I was on Facebook Live was on Friday, where I went to all the elementary schools during Olympic Day. And today I'm in a very, very different venue. The last couple videos were kids yelling, sounds of joy and fun and competition. Just a great way to celebrate that we're getting to the end of the school year. And if you listen closely, it is quiet. A little too quiet, they say. I am here, if we can zoom out a little bit, camera's backing up, apologize if our cameraman falls. I am here in the Rick Carroll Natatorium in the deep end of the pool. Dom, he is our cameraman. Dom, if you turn to your left and look up this way, you'll see the bulkhead is out of the pool. We're in the deep end, the diving boards are gone, tiles are removed from the wall, not all of them, most of them. Water is gone out of the pool, and we are here in the deep end. So as part of this community conversation, Mr. Bob Gilmer is kind of on the other end of the Facebook Live, reading comments, questions that you may have, all those types of things. So if you're joining us, feel free to give us a shout, give us some love, whatever you want to comment, ask us questions. We'll try to answer those questions as we go along here. This may be a 10-minute conversation, it may be 30 minutes, who knows. But I am here with, we're going to turn a little bit this way, get another bit of a view of what's going on. So obviously we're going from deep to shallow, down to the other end. I'm here with Mr. Bill Slawter, Director of Facilities and Operations here in North Penn. Just joined us just before the holidays. So Bill's been here 6-7 months, I guess? Yeah. And so we are underway.
We are underway.
So tell us a little bit about the renovations here in Rick Carroll Natatorium. What's happening?
So right now we're still in the demolition phase. We started right after the triathlon, and the pool's been drained. We're demolishing some of the wall tile. We're removing all the filtration system and the piping and the heaters that service the pool, and we're also renovating the locker rooms and tearing those all apart and getting them ready for renovation.
So you mentioned that this began like literally the day after the triathlon, and we have heard some comments, received some feedback. Why are you starting in the natatorium, right? So this is a full-fledged renovation of the entire campus, correct?
Correct. So this is step one of maybe 50 steps. And the reason why K-Pod and the natatorium were chosen as a starting point was it did not require the land development requirements that digging in the ground and those other kind of things typically need in order to start proceeding. So we were able to get a very quick start, get building permits very quickly. That's why this area and the K-Pod were selected as a starting point. Obviously, K-Pod, we have to wait till graduation occurs and the students' last day to get started in there. But since the swim season was over and the triathlon took place, we were able to start in the pool and get started early.
So this was just a way for us to be able to expedite the process. This is a space, while we do have aquatics classes, certainly our PE teachers and aquatics teachers were willing to make some adjustments. Everybody's going to have to be flexible throughout this process. But this just let us get started now, and the day after kids leave, I assume we'll start K-Pod.
Yeah, we'll actually we've already started helping with the teachers to get packed, get some of the stuff moved that they're not using every day. So yeah, so as soon as the students are out, all the furniture's coming out, it's getting moved out of that area, all the teacher items that were packed up will be moved out, and demolition will start right away.
Any shout-outs? You want to give any shout-outs to people watching right now?
It looks like we got Christine Reed. Thank you for joining us. Holly James is watching with us. Allison Gorell Janacek. Brian Fakis is watching. Pat Transilli. Boy, we got a lot of people. All right, so if you give us a little line in here, ask us some questions, Bill and I will be happy to try our best to answer those questions. And if we don't have the answers, we can certainly get back to you. All right, so we talked a little bit about what's happening here in Rick Carroll Natatorium, and it's pretty clear there. Dom, if you scroll down to your right, or pan to your right and down, there's a little bit of water left, just a little bit, nice puddle there. But in general, this pool is now a dust bowl. My shoes are covered in dust, all of our jackets and such are getting dust on them, but there is some serious work being done. So when we moved to K-Pod, What floor are we going to start with and why?
So we're going to start on the 3rd floor first and work our way down. And the logistics of that are because all the mechanical feeds and the electrical feeds are fed from the bottom up.
Okay.
So as we start at the top down, we don't risk interfering with anything on the 2nd and 1st floor, and put in all new equipment as we work our way down without interruption.
That makes sense. And it's my understanding that in most high schools, your science labs are on the top floor, right? So
That's
3rd
correct.
floor of K-Pod, we have a lot of science labs. Why is that?
Because of the fume hoods. So science requires fume hoods for experiments, and to get those hoods as close to the roof as possible is the best scenario for that kind of thing.
So you have the ventilation, all those things. So things you learn, look, I went to school to be a math teacher, eventually to be a principal and so forth. I did not learn some of these things, but I have learned a lot throughout the process. All right, so if I were to come in here on any given day while this is an active construction site, I would have to have a hard hat on, a vest, all those things. Who's here? Who's doing what? What's it look like?
So there's multiple contractors. So there's 4 prime contractors for this job. There's a general, an electrical, mechanical, and a plumbing. They all have representation on site. Some of them are employees, some of them are subcontractors. They all have to be cleared, so we all have their security clearances before they're on site, and they're all required to wear their PPE, which is the protective gear that they wear in order to do their operation. So right now we're chipping tile, we're demolishing things, we're tearing stuff apart, ripping out lockers, all that kind of thing. Eventually it'll switch over to where we're installing new devices. So the pool filtration system is going to change. We went from an old injection chlorine system to a new chloride tablet type system,
okay,
along with some pH adjustment and a unit and a UV light. So hopefully we're going to reduce the amount of chloramines that are in the pool by switching systems, but all that new piping and pumps and motors and filtration will all take place. In the pool itself, there'll be new tile, new painting, new HVAC systems on the roof, and new lighting throughout, and some sound panels. So it'll be a little bit of a different look when everybody comes back into space.
And something tells me, just looking at the walls, looking at the floor here, we'll probably get new plaster too.
Yes, so that'll be the first thing. They were supposed to start today, but they held off for us to do this.
Very important interview.
Yes,
Yeah,
a very important interview. So they're going to do it through a very high pressure water system, and that'll start removing the plaster from the walls, and all that sludge will slide down here,
okay,
which we would have had to wear boots in order to be down here if they would have started. So yeah, and they'll remove all the plaster and the tile, and it gets new tile lane lines and new plaster, so it'll be bright and white again.
Okay, so throughout the renovation, we're hoping to do some of these Facebook Lives from different sites on the campus, kind of show the community what's going on. I'm sure our communications department, led by Ms. Liberoski and Mr. Gilmer, will be around with pictures and videos, plenty, if you will. But if there are things you want to see as this process is going on, please chime in, send us an email, engage on Facebook, and we can try to give you a quick tour here and there. So maybe these Facebook Lives will be more frequent during that time, and maybe you'll have different hosts. Mr. Slawter seems to be doing a pretty good job, so maybe he can host some of these sessions without me. All right, so let's move this way. We're going to walk up, much easier than swimming up, although you can notice the incline. So, Mr. Slawter, I'm going to talk about the renovation in general, but Dom, feel free to pan and take a look around the pool just so some people can see what's happening here. Not only are we working on the pool, we're also doing, and K-Pod, we're doing some work in other areas of the building for swing space, temporary classrooms, things like that, to help to facilitate the renovation as a whole.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about what that process looks like, what it feels like? Why do we have to create temporary classrooms?
So in order to work on classrooms, or like K-Pod, we talked about one floor at a time, we have to create other classrooms where those instruction and the children and the teachers can move to. So we're taking the Audion and we're creating 2 classrooms in the Audion. We're taking the auditorium, we're creating 4 classrooms there. 2 additional classrooms in the media center or library. Senior cafeteria, we're creating 4 classrooms, and there's a new office space that's going up in the balcony outside the auditorium, which will hold another house office for during construction.
Got it. So these swing spaces, if you will, or temporary classrooms, are literally like, if we're going to renovate the 2nd floor of K-Pod, those teachers and those students need somewhere to go, right? So they move to that space, that floor gets renovated. Once it's renovated, in most cases, they move right back into those spaces. We will have some reallocation of resources where some departments are currently separated. You have English over here and English over there. We're trying to get them all together once this is all finished. So there could be multiple moves, but in general, that's the idea. Swing space, you go into the temporary classroom, you go back to your original space.
Correct.
Right? Okay. All right, so what are some other things that people should know about the renovation, like timeline? When do we expect? We just started May of 2025. When is it like there are no contractors on site at all?
We're probably looking at late 2030 or 2031.
Wow.
In order to complete everything. So we're going to touch every square foot of this building in some way, shape, or form. And we'll move through methodically. After the K-pod renovations are done, we're going to start on the individual pods. So A-pod will get an addition, then the existing A-pod will get renovated. Then we go to B-pod. From B-pod, we're going to work our way to C-pod, and then D and E-pod after that. So that is part of what we're calling bid package 2. So this project is being broken into 4 separate bid packages, and within each bid package there's multiple phases. So as we move through everything, we'll be moving people out of those spaces, renovating the space, moving people back in again. Once they move in, it should be their last move and their permanent location.
So there's a lot of change coming. Of course, this is a long-time project, but things that we're used to doing here at North Penn High School, there will definitely be challenges. A great example, typically we do convocation to start the school year. We bring all of our staff to the North Penn High School auditorium. There are 1,717 seats. We can fit our entire staff with some additional chairs, but we can fit the entire staff in the auditorium. This summer, as Mr. Slawter said, we're breaking up some of the auditorium into temporary classrooms. That 1,700, I think, dwindles down to about 1,000.
Yeah,
and we won't,
just over.
Yeah, and we won't be able to fit the entire staff. So convocation needs to look different. Obviously, a water polo season in a space like this can happen, right? No water polo being played. So some of our community partners in the Hatboro-Horsham School District have been generous and gracious enough to let us rent their pool. They're actually keeping it open for us instead of closing it because they just built a new pool. They're keeping it open for the North Penn School District so that our kids can continue practicing and competing. So that's really awesome. So we are going to have to leverage relationships in the community and beyond for some of our regularly scheduled programming because the spaces just aren't available. Community events that are usually hosted here, they might need to look for other spaces, but we promise it'll be worth the wait 5-6 years from now.
Absolutely, it'll be a completely different look. 21st century education will be in place.
All right, so.
Just talking about the timeline. How many square feet in the building?
How many square feet in the, all right, so Mr. Gilmore, I'm sure you recognize that voice on the other side of the camera. He's feeding me some of your questions and information. Go ahead. So square feet in the entire building.
I think right now we're at 680, I believe, and we're adding another 80,000+ square feet. So we will be somewhere around 780,000 square feet by the time we're done.
Wow. So I'm seeing some comments, and I saw Larry Feely commented. That's a blast from the past, North Penn School District employee, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was here before me. Hey, Larry, thanks for engaging. Wow, so we're talking over 700,000 square feet. And so if you build a brand new high school, some neighboring school districts built new high schools in different locations, that timeline's a little bit quicker than when you try to renovate an occupied building. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. There's several extra steps that we have to take to do an occupied renovation versus a build new. One of the other unpopular things that's going to happen in the fall is parking, right? When you have dozens, maybe hundreds of contractors on site, they need to park their vehicles somewhere. We have limited parking here on campus, so there will be growing pains with that as well. We won't have as many student spots. We will not have fewer staff, so those parking spots will need to come from the bank of parking spots that we have for students. Absolutely, and we're also replacing all the water lines and much of the sanitary and stormwater in the parking lot over the course of several phases of construction. So we will be digging through and around and in the parking lot areas, creating disturbance as well.
Wow. So be prepared to be rerouted and adjusted. There's going to be, it will look like a construction zone for quite some time. Certainly we will try our best to make all the magic happen that usually happens. It just might look a little bit different. So people who come for commencement 2 weeks from yesterday, June 17th, way too late, by the way, so hopefully next year it'll be much earlier. But commencement, if you walk past the Rick Carroll Natatorium, there's a construction fence. It looks like a construction site now. So just things to be aware of, but it will be worth it. We're really excited about it. All right, anything else that we're not talking about in terms of the experience for teachers or kids during a renovation that you've experienced? Like, hey, you got to be ready for this.
So, occasionally there's the random fire alarm that happens, usually at a very inopportune time. We try to do our best not to make that happen, but that does happen. As we're working on the alarm system, there could be shorts elsewhere. Noise is always an issue. We do our best to stay on top of dust too. We will have dust barriers. We will have physical barriers in place to keep the contractors on one side, the students on the other. We will put negative air machines in there, so they will be high-powered fans that create a negative pressure in the space that keeps the dust in that area and evacuates it outside of the building. Detours is going to be probably one of the biggest things. Some pathways through the high school are not easy to navigate right now. This will get even worse as we progress through. But once construction is done completely, the building will have a circular pathway all the way around, so there's no need to back up and go back the pathway you came once we're done.
Got it, okay. Well, people are saying in the chat there about the wild timeline, the fact that this is going to be 5 or 6 years that this takes. But just to gain perspective, Knapp was occupied while we renovated that. Just so happens you were serving in a different capacity for a different company during that renovation. And how long did that take for an elementary school?
That was roughly 2 years at Knapp, yeah.
All right, so
about 18 months, yeah.
Okay, so a building with 600 students plus compared to a building with 3,000 students, and the footprint and all the facilities that come with a high school, a pool, an auditorium, all those different challenges. So 2 years, 5 years, 5, 6.
Yeah.
It does seem to measure up. But
Knapp was 68,000 square feet, so
a little different.
We're
10 times.
10 times that, so.
Yeah, okay. All right, so there were some questions in the chat about priority parking for some of our student athletes. I am not personally prepared to answer that question, but I can get an answer for that. I know Mr. Rohn, the coordinator of emergency management and safe schools, handles all the parking. I do know we will provide transportation to and from Hatboro during those couple months. I'm going to put you on the spot, and you know the public is going to hold you to this, but they can't. When is the hopeful projected date for the natatorium to be ready?
So the goal right now is to have it ready at Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
Early December, so it's called December 1st.
Okay. So December 1st is the goal. And I did ask the lead construction manager on site, his name is Mike. Mike's behind the camera. I did ask him right before we went live, Mike, are we pleased with the progress so far? He said very much so. So we'll give you updates if that gets pushed, or if we're magically a little bit earlier, we'll continue to keep people posted on that.
And one other venue that people can get information from is we will start providing monthly construction updates on the F&O meetings. So that will be part of the agenda, and there will be slide presentations.
F&O means facilities and operations.
Facilities and operations.
For those who don't speak our lingo. So, okay, so early December, you said December 1st. For those who don't know, in my previous life, I was a swimmer, water polo player. I coached at a local school district. So that takes us to really the start of swimming and diving season. The first meet is usually that second week in December. So water polo will take place off-site. I'm sure we will find a way to honor our seniors, some kind of a senior night ceremony, because they didn't get to have that senior year here in Rick Carroll Natatorium. But hopefully we are ready for competitions for swim season come December, understanding that projects of this magnitude can be challenging. So
yes,
we'll see.
There is a contingency plan.
There is a contingency plan.
There always is.
Yeah, okay. All right, so with that, Bob, any more questions, engagement?
A lot of people watching, a lot of people excited, a lot of hearts, a lot of thumbs up.
Okay, all right, we'll take hearts, we'll take thumbs up. It's really incredible. I don't believe these banners were hanging down, so I think, were they for sound?
Yeah, so that's acoustical panels to kind of keep the bounce out of the pool. Okay. So those are coming down and being replaced with new sound panels.
Okay. All right, and what about the bulkhead? Dom, can you zoom in on the bulkhead up there? What's being done with that?
So that's being cut up and scrapped. We had problems with that with the bladder. So there's a new bulkhead that's being supplied as part of the project.
Oh, okay. So brand new bulkhead, that'll be great. And Dom, if we can span to the stands, which we often pack with our successful programs here. Bill, what can we expect to see up in the stands when the project's over?
So fresh paint up there, and the railings are being reconfigured so that it's a much more visual, pleasing glass panels and in those instead of the horizontal rails. So that will give us a better view from the stand.
Yeah, I can tell you, as a spectator, many a times here in Rick Carroll Natatorium, sitting in those first few rows, you're looking up and down over those railings. Because I don't know if you can tell, but there are horizontal bars there, and you're always looking up, looking down, trying to see. So that will be glass there.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay. What about any acoustical upgrades, new speaker systems, things like that? Is that happening?
There is a new sound system that's coming in the pool area, and with the acoustical banners that we're putting in, and the new lighting and the fresh paint, it'll have a new look. You can see on, if you want to zoom in on one of the walls over there, but either behind me or over by the scoreboard, Dom, you can see that the original color of the walls was much lighter than what it is now. So fresh paint will definitely add to the brightness of the space.
Brighten this up. Okay. Anything else, Bob? We all set?
Just questions about why our school year is so late. That's off
Yeah.
topic. They recognize the off topic.
Yeah, no, the school year is definitely late, and sometimes it's how the calendar falls. Some of the breaks that we take here in North Penn, I can tell you, if you haven't seen, next year's school year ends on June 12th. So I know you'll hold me to this, but it has been our practice when the school year ends on a Friday, we usually have commencement on Thursday night. That gives us a little buffer there to have a rain date in case it rains Thursday night. So my guess is next year you're seeing a June 11th commencement with the last day of school being June 12th. How's the construction schedule looking? Okay, so in general, schedule's looking good so far, and we're all set?
Absolutely, yeah. We're working on the schedule for phase 2, which is out for bid now.
Okay.
We just are switching some stuff around to make sure the logistics are as smooth as possible. We will have that locked in by bid date, which is mid-July. A couple tweaks here and there, but overall that's pretty well set as well.
Okay.
And there's overlap between every bid package.
Right. Well, I can't say enough that there will be sacrifices that need to be made, right? So when we renovate a pool, we're going to have a water polo season without a pool. When we renovate chemistry labs, we might have a period of time where there are no labs for chemistry, right? We did a track a couple years ago, and we didn't have a track for a track season. So there will be astronomy without a planetarium at one point, those types of things.
Cafeteria?
Yeah, cafeteria will be flexible, right? The kitchen, people don't know that the kitchen in a school is one of the most expensive assets or entities in the entire building. When they're renovating that kitchen, they can't do that all in one summer. So there will be a time where we are actually bringing food in, hot food in,
correct,
cooked elsewhere and served to the kids. So all those things are going to be challenges throughout the project. So, all right, so with that, I really appreciate your engagement, paying attention, asking us questions. I know people watch these videos. One of the videos, Bob, that we did last Friday, 15,000 views on Facebook. Yeah, that's really great that people are watching these things. So with that, feel free to keep asking your questions. Our communications team monitors the chat. If you have any feedback or something you want to see as the process goes along, we'll be sure to check back in the summer and give you updates. So on behalf of Mr. Slawter, I'm Todd Bauer. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you really soon. Uh-oh. Don't fall, Dom. Wave to the people at home.